pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for being here for the regular session of the City Council for Goldendale on July 1st, 2019. We have a couple things we need to get worked out on the roll call. We'll work on that when we get down to department reports, but right now John has submitted his letter of resignation and is effective yesterday, so he'll be attending. We're hoping to see him a lot, but not as a council member any longer. Since this constitutes a full council right now, then we don't need a motion to move forward. The next item is to have a motion on the agenda, but I need to make a change in the agenda first. If you look at the agenda under G, the very first one, surplus property of fire equipment, that needs to be moved down to resolution. That's a resolution that was put there by mistake. So we will have that come under resolutions. With that change made, do we have a motion to approve the agenda and the consent agenda?
So moved with the change.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda and the consent agenda with the change introduced. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. We don't have presentations scheduled for tonight. On department reports, we'll begin first with Police Chief Reggie Bartowski.
So I just have a few things for the council and for the mayor tonight. The first, obviously, the 4th of July is going to be on Thursday, and we'll be doing a lot of advertising, a lot of press releases on the new ordinance that we put out. And again, for the 4th is the only day that you can let off fireworks, and it's from 6 o'clock until midnight. And I'll also be out that night with my officers. We're going to try to make sure that we hold people to that at midnight. We want to see the fireworks stopping so people can go to sleep. And I know there's a lot of concerns about the fireworks, but again, it's the 4th of July from 6 p.m. until midnight. I also talked to the fire chief. This year, the fire danger is a little bit lower than what it has been in some of the past years with a little bit cooler weather. But again, he said it's very dry out, and he wants just to remind people to be extremely careful, and that he will have a couple fire trucks out on the 4th also from that 6 o'clock to midnight time in the city that will be patrolling with the officers. So we should be ready for that. We've been doing some parking enforcement over the last couple of weeks. We've given out roughly 50 warnings, and we've also actually wrote a few tickets. Most people have been very cooperative and very willing to correct whatever violation that they're doing. We've been working with people. We've actually pushed a few cars and helped some people with finding solutions to some of their parking problems that they're having in front of their houses. And I think it's working very well. And again, I want to thank the citizens for how good they've been and how willing they've been to working with the police department. We did a crosswalk emphasis last Wednesday, and it went extremely well. We were able to educate a lot of drivers, but more importantly, I think we educated more pedestrians that were walking across the crosswalks. And we were able to talk with them, explain actually what the Washington state law is, that they need to make sure that there's plenty of room before they step off the curb into the crosswalk, and they understood that. And we also explained that they have to get halfway across the road before the other side traffic has to stop for them. And so we made a lot of really good contacts, explained that to them, and we're going to do more emphasis throughout the year because it was that successful. The last thing I really want to say tonight, Mayor and Council, is we did a big push last year for people calling in suspicious activities around their houses or suspicious persons maybe in their neighborhoods. And I just want to reiterate how important that is for the police department. Again, I've been having people call the police department and tell me that 2 days ago or a week ago they've had something happen in their neighborhood. we want people to call when it's actually happening. We want to get patrol cars in the right areas. And so we're really going to do another push with press releases during community days and during fair. I'm going to be pushing for community watch again, for watching your neighbors' houses, watching your community. If you see somebody who is suspicious, that they're doing things that just don't seem normal for your neighborhood, just give us a call. We have no problem. You're not bothering the police department having us come and look and check into whatever's happening in your neighborhood. We want to do that, and it's actually partnering with the police department. And again, we're very supportive of that. So, and that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Chief. Noah, our fire chief, is not here tonight. They're making preparations and watching things as far as the fireworks and fire dangers. But he could not be there, be in this meeting tonight. And Connie Myers was going to make an announcement that I need to go ahead and take care of for the city council members. You had a notice in your inbox or your packet that John Sullivan has submitted his resignation from city council. John has served for a number of years. He's a very effective city councilman, but he felt like with the business that he's gone into now, he's one of the owners of CarQuest, and a lot of new demands for that position. So he decided it was time to vacate his city council position, and it took place yesterday. Now we have Phil Ontiveros, who he did the policeman's night, the big celebration in the park for all of our first responders, and he's running to fill that place. He's on the ballot. He's not opposed, and so I would submit that we go ahead and appoint Phil to fill this post beginning in 2 weeks at the next city council. He'll be sworn in, and he'll serve the rest of John's term, and then his election will begin after that. Does that sound agreeable to the council? Good. Thank you. Thank you. The next item is council business. And the number one item now, because it was renumbered, is the notice of award on South Columbus overlay. And I think Larry's going to introduce it, and then Dustin will give us the real details.
I'm just going to invite Dustin up to give us the details.
Last Wednesday, we had the bid opening for the South Columbus overlay project. 4 bids were submitted. At the bid opening, the parent low bidder was Central Paving. However, they had made an error in their bid tabs, and after making that correction, they were no longer the low bidder, and Granite Construction was the low bidder. So I recommend the council award the bid to Granite Construction, with the condition that we get, of course, TIB approval in all contract forms approved.
And we'd like to go ahead and do that motion now.
Okay.
If that's all right with you guys.
I move to award the 2019 South Columbus Overlay Project to Granite Construction Company in the amount of $125,806.30. Contract, subject to Transportation Improvement Board approval, and all contract forms completed and approved by the City of Goldendale.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the 2019 South Columbus Overlay Project to Granite Construction Company in the amount of $125,806.30. This is subject to Transportation Improvement Board, the TIB approval, and all contract forms must be completed and approved by the City of Goldendale. Is there any discussion or any questions?
Just one question, Mayor. It's going to the city, into the city limits? Is that how far it's going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay.
It starts at Golden Ridge
Yeah,
Drive.
and then to the end of the city limits. Okay, okay. That's all
Any
I
other
have.
questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much.
And while we're on that project as well, Granite Construction believes they can get the grinding and the asphalt laid in one day, if they're allowed to start at 6 a.m. in the morning. The contract documents call 7 a.m. as the earliest start because of noise ordinance. And so as part of that, it will take, I believe, council authorization for them to start at 6 a.m. And they will try and close the road for that day to local traffic only. They will have flaggers out there to help people get through. But with those allowances, they believe they can get everything done in one day except for the striping.
That's really something.
It is, yeah.
Do we have a motion to
So moved.
grant their request for?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to agree that the granite construction company will begin its work at 6 a.m. on the date of the paving, and that traffic control will be provided. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That's going to be stunning to see that.
Dustin, why don't you go ahead and have a seat, and you stay up there for the next one,
This is sort of like whack-a-mole tonight for Dustin. The next item has to do with the latecomers agreement, and Larry Bellamy will introduce this point.
too. Okay, well, we've got several documents in your packet related to the latecomers agreement between Kurt Ross and the city of Goldendale. I handed you an additional 3 documents, and I'd like to insert those. We have the latecomers agreement, about 5 pages long. And then we have the new water line Exhibit A. Then we have a new Exhibit B. The next page is benefited parcels. Then you have C is the construction costs and D is the breakdown. And then you have some easements and dedications. So right after the first easement with Kurt Ross, you'll insert the 3 additional documents. 3 additional documents will start off with a map that shows what the easement is going across Kurt Ross's property. And then because the water line that was installed actually encroached a little bit on Chad Ross's property, we have a easement and a map of the property that he needs to have as an easement to the city of Goldendale. So you got that okay? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and have Dustin kind of get up and explain the latecomers agreement and give us a little more detail on how this is all transpired. We've been at this for probably about a year, finally culminating tonight, and we think we've caught everything, so bear with us.
So the first documents, the latecomers agreement, was prepared and submitted by the applicant. The City of Goldendale has latecomers ordinance, and I've reviewed the latecomers agreement and believe it's in accordance with your ordinances. Was item number 4 corrected on the one that was handed out?
No.
So one thing to note, item number 4 on the first page has an amount of $108,154.35. But the documents further back actually have the correct amount. Page.
Exhibit C.
It should be $96,154.35. But what this latecomers agreement allows is they designated parcels that would benefit from this water line. They can connect to it in the future, and as part of that, the applicant gets 15 years from the time that it was installed or this is approved, and if anyone connects, they get reimbursed the appropriate prorated share of that cost, along with interest. There's 6 additional benefited parcels that they could connect. As part of this, we prepared easements. So those easements cover this water line that are going to be dedicated to the city. There's also a dedication of the water line. Because they installed it, they need to dedicate it to the city for the city's improvements and maintenance of it. As Larry explained, right at the very end, it crossed just a few feet into the neighboring parcel, Chad Ross's parcel, so we prepared an easement for that as well. Okay. And I wrote a letter recommending the city accept it also. They did the water test on it, or pressure test, it passed the pressure test. They chlorinated the line, just as any other city water line, and it passed the chlorination test as well. It appears to me that everything's in accordance with the city standards, and so I recommend acceptance of that water line.
I move to authorize the mayor to execute the latecomers agreement for reimbursement for a municipal water system extension between Kurt Ross and the city of Goldendale.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to execute the latecomers agreement for reimbursement for a municipal water system extension between Kurt Ross and the city of Goldendale. Is there any discussion or further questions?
I have a couple of items I just want to add to that.
Okay.
Real quick. We need to add that the latecomers agreement is approved subject to the execution of the two easements, one to Kurt Ross and one to Chad Ross. And subject to, well, I guess we don't really need to have a subject to the dedication language, because that's already signed off.
Basically just that it's conditioned upon all documents that are executed that are attached.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, and then I wanted to see if Kurt wanted to say a few words. Go on up to the podium, Kurt.
I'm Kurt Ross. There was one, when we mapped it out and just designated the benefited parcels, then I wanted to add language to the agreement that in the event that not all the benefited parcels come in to the latecomers, then another party could. For instance, one of the parcels was dedicated, or benefited parcels was labeled Ty Ross. Ty's not shown any interest in connecting, but if another landowner, an extra parcel away, would like to tie in, then I'd like the fees to be collected to come back to me for reimbursement. So I spoke to Larry about that on Friday to add the language after the fact, and we agreed that it could be done in principle.
So do we need to redo the whole resolution?
We can, did you catch that?
Yeah, and I agree that it should be allowed. If someone benefits from connecting to that line, he should be reimbursed up to the amount he's got invested in it.
Sure.
So I think we can just add that language, if you would include that language that Kurt has brought up.
As added, so moved.
Okay. As long as your second comes along, then we can make that, we can agree with that, what that language should be.
We're waiting for the attorney to draft this language so that we can bring it to whoever.
It's just another way for him to be able to collect all of the money.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Do for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
It's been moved and seconded to add the additional wording discussed during this presentation. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. The last item under council business is water service connection outside city limits. And I believe Larry is going to introduce that.
Okay. This particular development is right on the line between the city of Goldendale jurisdiction property and property that's under the jurisdiction of Clickitat County. So if we allow if some people that are outside the city want to connect to this water line, then they need approval from the council, just like we've done in recent, on recent requests to serve water outside the city limits. So a couple of the properties are ready to move on their water sewers connection. So as part of this discussion tonight, we did look at those 3 parcels that directly benefit. And they are Chad Ross, Dave Ross, and Ty Ross are the 3 that could hook on that are part of the latecomers agreement. So the system has the right to add connections and it has adequate capacity. As we've heard, the water line system is being transferred to the city and dedicated for operation and maintenance. The water main is of a size that's adequate, and it's our duty to supply water to those lots that are within 90 days of the request. So the latecomers agreement also requires that anybody that's part of that latecomers agreement would sign an annexation covenant for a connection that's outside the city limits. So I've included the utility service annexation covenants and would suggest to the council that these outside water service connections be approved, and they will be paid for at the time that they come in and request the service. So this makes it available to them to pay for when they come in. There's one other item I was going to say, but now I can't think of it. Oh well, I think I've covered it all.
I move to approve water service connections for tax parcels 04160950000100, 04160951000300, and 04160951000100, contingent on their signature of an annexation covenant.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve water service connections for tax parcels as noted in the presentation, contingent on their signature of an annex covenant. Is there any questions or any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item is under resolutions, and this has to do with surplus property of the fire department, the fire equipment from the fire department. And Larry, I believe, is presenting that.
Okay, we have tried and tried and tried to sell these 2 pieces of equipment from the fire department. The last thing we tried was to put them in the Clickitat County Rule 7 auction, victims auction, and we didn't get a bid for one, and then the bidder on the other one backed out. So we still have options available to us, but we feel like the next option should be a sealed bid approach, where we advertise that that these trucks are available and take sealed bids just like you would if you were to go out and get a bid on a construction project. And we would advertise it in the paper, and hopefully word of mouth, people will know that the trucks are available on the sealed bid approach. And we think that's the best approach to get the most we can out of those machines. All the same, everything else is the same, it's just the method that we're trying to dispose of them. And Noah has looked this over, and we've talked about it several times, and he feels that this is the best approach as well.
Do we have a resolution number?
No.
And it's a 1994 Chevrolet pickup, not an 1194.
Okay,
Correct?
I'll make that correction. 1994.
I think Chevrolet was around in 1194.
No, you said 1994, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, the way it's read on the motion is 1194. For those, some fingers, somebody like me
There you go. Okay, hang on just a minute.
will stand
See
by.
if I can get.
To be signed. on the bed of the truck. Even.
I'm gonna have to punt.
Okay, so to be assigned at a later date?
To be assigned as the next available number.
Okay.
And it's not it's a 1994 symbol, okay.
Okay, so I move to adopt resolution number to be assigned at a later date to surplus a 1971 Seagrave fire truck and a 1994 Chevrolet pickup by seal bid or solicitation of written bids.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the resolution, a number which will be assigned in the next, as the next available number, to surplus a 1971 Seagrave fire truck and a 1994 Chevrolet pickup by seal bid or solicitation of written bids. Any questions or any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the report of officers and city administrator, and we'll begin with Larry Bellamy.
Okay, our office has been working quite diligently on the Community Days events, and we've been working, Shelley's been working really hard, Ken has been working really hard on getting things all set up for this coming weekend. So of course, July 4th is Thursday, and July 5th, Friday through July 7th, Sunday is Community Days. We've got all the arrangements made, the vendors, spaces are all set up, and we actually had 3 more than we had available room for, and we fit them in somehow, some way. So it's going to be a full courthouse lawn, that's for sure. We're going to have entertainment, and the new event feature is a rock wall, and we'll still have bouncy houses. Those will be free of charge to the people that would like to use them. We'd like to encourage the youth mainly to take advantage of that availability of the rock wall and bouncy houses. And then of course we'll have the parade on Saturday and the GMA show and shine on Main Street. So I'm not going to remember everything, and then there's certainly a lineup of entertainment and the beer garden. So it seems to be coming together quite nicely, and if you have any more suggestions, it's too late, I guess. So that's what we've been spending a lot of our time. The Public Works crew is still working on several items, and their focus even into the last part of June was to finish up the crack ceiling. We continue to maintain the flowers. We're working every possible minute. They're trying to work it, finish up the new shop, equipment storage building, get that in place. Working on getting all the parts together for the backflow pump at the main lift station. And then they've been assisting with the airport beacon. And then we've been working on, I wanted to bring that. Well,
What do you need actually?
I think I know where it is. Nope, I don't. Anyway, we wanted to bring up the idea that there was concern about activity going on underneath the bridges, and we had a visit from a couple of concerned residences.
Yep.
And we have put the no parking signs on the east side of Pipeline Road, on either side, the north side of the river and the south side of the river. We put no parking signs, and that seems to have helped a lot. And we also talked at the council meeting about trespassing limiting the trespassing underneath the bridge. And so we came up with we worked with Reggie and with Doug Frantum, and came up with a plan to put danger, help me with the rest of it.
Danger, no trespassing under bridge.
Okay, danger, no trespassing under the bridge.